Hey everyone, I finished watching the next episode of Power Rangers Time Force, A Parting of Ways. This is a really good episode. I really like this one, which is what I say about every episode of Time Force. And see, I get used to hearing me say that, because a lot of these are really good episodes. The beginning wasn't promising. It's one of those beginnings where they're just burning through Sentai footage to kill time, although here, I don't know if it was so much to kill time as much as it was to show that the Rangers have really managed to come together as a team and, like, taking out the monsters, like, very quickly they've gotten used to the idea of, what it takes to be a Ranger and what the job is and taking out the monsters. So I think maybe that was the idea of showing this with, like, zero context. The monster just is there fighting the Megazord. They blow up the monster. Then the theme song starts. That's it. We don't get any kind of insight or anything. They never talk about the monster. Back at the clock tower, Jen and Wes, they do banter a bit, but then it cuts to a completely different. This is a weird thing. This was a weird transition. It cuts from Wes and Jen are up in the clock tower, and then the next scene, Wes is somewhere else with his father in a completely different outfit. He's like in a business suit. They just got out of a meeting or something. And yeah, so he's talking with his father about whatever. And they're next to this park. And a baseball suddenly comes over, whacks into the car. The car is fine. Anyway, a kid comes over, says, "Hey, I'm sorry, can I have my ball back?" And the father's like, "I think I'm going to keep it. Let this be a lesson to you." And then he's, "Get out of here." Wow, Mr. Collins is kind of a dick. It reminds me a lot of I don't know if people are gonna get ticked off at me for saying this, but there's a similar thing that happens in Jungle Fury. In Jungle Fury, there's an episode where there's this kid who comes into Jungle Karma Pizza. He puts some money into one of the arcade machines, and then nothing happens. It ate his money. And then Casey comes over and he picks up, there's an out of order sign on the floor. "Oh, sorry, this fell down." And then the kid asks for his money back. And then Casey is like, "Oh, sorry, no refunds." What? How can you not give a refund when there wasn't even a purchase? He didn't know the machine was broken. That was your fault for not taping the sign up right, you jerk. So then the kid steals his tip, and then Casey chases him for like a mile. Which, like, I get it, the kid shouldn't have stolen the money, but Casey's acting extremely petty, and that's how Mr. Collins feels to me right now. Although, like, I don't know, it was just a weird thing that irritates me when someone gets so petty about something and, I don't know, self entitled about stuff. It's really irritating. Anyway, back to the actual episode synopsis. Uh, Wes is like, "Dad, he's just a kid." "He's a kid who just learned an important lesson." And then he gives Wes the ball and says, "Throw that in the trash." So then Wes's father drives off. Wes gets on his motorcycle, looks at the ball. "Hey kid, come over here." And the kid comes over and he tosses him the ball. "Hit a homer." "Thanks, man." And then so Wes feels good. He's just made this kid's day better. And then, oh, then we get to Rancic's base, and they revive this one really weird monster. He comes out of the thing, and then Nadira and Rancic both look at each other strange, and I was like, "What's what?" Oh, and then there's a littler monster that comes out, plops itself on top of the other monster, and I realized, oh, it's its head that can separate for some reason. And it's weird because at first the monster didn't look that weird without a head. Maybe I'm just used to, like, as the years have gone on, we've had some extremely weird looking monsters that don't even try to look in the least bit realistic or even look like anything. They're just weird, abstract creatures made of abstract shapes. Like in, I know there's tons of them. It's gotten weirder and weirder as the years have gone on. Like, uh, whatever. So anyway, the plan is to send this monster out to kidnap somebody, and then they'll hold them for ransom, which is really similar to, like, didn't they already do ransom before? Like, I'm pretty sure they did. They now? Now I can't remember. I'm really tired. I just got off work and I'm really tired. So anyway, oh, and anyway, the end result is to get money, which is what, like, the goal of the bad guys has been, which is kind of weird considering they're mutants from the future. They're criminals. What are they going to use the money for other than, like, to inconvenience people who don't have the money anymore? I don't know. That's always something that I've wondered about. Like, what do criminals want with money? They can just steal stuff. Whatever. So anyway, the monster goes out and hijacks a school bus, and it's like a full school bus. There's a bunch of kids in there, and I was thinking about, like, somehow if this episode were to be done today, the monster would probably just steal a school bus, and there'd be just the bus driver. They wouldn't want to put kids in danger. They wouldn't want to have kids as extras. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they did do that once or twice recently, but I can't remember any time where there was, like, kids in danger, like, with serious stakes or anything. So then the monster, or the Rangers, are trying to stop the monster. They fail. The monster throws a ransom note to them demanding $10 million. So Wes runs to his father, who's right in the middle of a business deal. And the father's like, I can't do anything right now. And Wes is like, dude, it's important. And Mr. Collins is like, just a moment. And he goes out, Wes, this is very important. And Wes is like, the kids in the park have been kidnapped. And that's when the first time I ever realized, like, I've seen this as a kid, I've seen it as a teenager, I've seen it as an adult when I got the DVD, and I never realized the kids on the bus are the same kids from the beginning of the episode at the park. Why are they riding a school bus? I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, Mr. Collins is like, Wes tells his father that the ransom is $10 million, and Mr. Collins is like, look, you can't expect me to pay that. This is a problem for the police. Let the police handle it. So then he goes back to the business deal, and then immediately we see him signing a contract, and he's talking to the people, and he says, $10 million is a lot of money, but it's worth it for your companies. So then Wes realizes that he had $10 million ready to go, but chose to spend it on the companies instead of saving the kids, which, I don't know, it's a weird moral dilemma. Like, on the one hand, the father is right. They should contact the police about this. Then again, this is Power Rangers. Did the police really accomplish anything? I mean, I don't know. I guess Lightspeed was kind of police, sort of. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, Wes is feeling really disappointed and really disillusioned. He's hanging out by the stairs just as his butler is coming up, and I think we hear the butler's name for the first time, Phillips. And Phillips is like, something on your mind, Master Wes? And Wes tells him about his father and how, all my life I thought I would follow in his footsteps, but now I don't think I want to. And Phillips tells him that he should go ahead and make his own choices. And then we go to Nadira and Gluto, who are guarding the kids. And there's a really weird bit. Gluto asks Nadira if he can eat one of the kids. Isn't he a mutant? Like, if he's a mutant, then he's still human in there. Or is he an alien? I don't think they ever actually say what exactly Gluto is. And I'm wondering, like, are any of the mutants also aliens? Like, are they aliens who are also mutants? Trip is a Zybrian, and that's an alien. So there are aliens, so I'm wondering, like, how many of the mutants are... Anyway, yeah, so if he's, like, a human mutant, then that's cannibalism, dude. That's messed up. Anyway, Nadira tells him no. And then, Wes, back at home, gets an idea. The people his father signed the contract with are just about to leave. Wes runs up, knocks on their window. My father gave you the check for the wrong account. And the guy pulls up the check, and then Wes immediately takes it, thanks, and then he runs off, and then the guy in the car is just like, for a $10 million check, this guy really doesn't seem to give a crap. Like, he just pulls it out casually, lets Wes take it, and then he just sits there like, huh? Where'd it go? It's $10 million. You're just gonna let him leave with it? And then the really weird thing, Wes takes not the check to Nadira, he takes a suitcase full of money. So Wes went to the bank and cashed a $10 million check. They just have that much? They didn't think that was suspicious at all? Whatever. Anyway, yeah, he gives the money to Nadira, and then, so once Nadira has the money, she calls up the monster, tells him to kill the kids. Wes is like, he gets the money back. Meanwhile, oh yeah, and this is a funny thing I took down in my notes. So if we add up stuff that's happened, we have Gluto asking if he can eat one of the kids. That's cannibalism. We have Wes taking the $10 million check. That's money theft. We have child hostages, ransom, and now when Nadira calls the monster, tells him to kill the kids, that's child murder. Which proves that Time Force was the darkest Power Rangers season. People were right. This is a dark season. Okay, anyway, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, Jen shows up. She rescues the kids while Wes gets the money back from Nadira. The Rangers defeat the head of the monster, but not the body part of it. They, like, shoot a bunch of lasers at the head, which is floating around. And so that's shrunk down, I guess put into cryostasis. But then the body's still active. And at this point, I wondered, like, what was the whole point of this? Like, it's a cool idea, it's a cool concept for the head to be floating around, like, separate from the body. But what did it really mean to the episode? It could have been literally any monster. There was no reason for it to be a monster whose head could pop off. Whatever. Anyway, they call the Megazord, defeat the monster, and the weird thing is they don't form Mode Red. And according to Ranger Wiki, this is the only time they don't, which makes me wonder all the more, why in the world is this a mode at all? Why don't they just go straight to Mode Red? Why do they bother with the first form anyway, if they only ever accomplish anything this one time? Whatever. Wes goes back home with the recovered money. His father is just furious. Wes, how could you take that money? And then Wes is like, it's okay, Dad, I got it back. And then reporters suddenly show up before he can start yelling at him some more. And they're like, Mr. Collins, is it true that you offered up the ransom money to save those kids? And he's like, he looks at Wes. Wes is like, and then he's like, yeah, yes, I did. Your children are our future, and blah, blah, blah. And the reporters are talking to him, and, what was it? He says, what was it? Mr. Collins says something about he got the money back, and then Wes interrupts him and says, yes, and he's decided to donate it all to the children's home. And, yeah, he doesn't like that. Really clearly, he's like, but he can't do anything because there's a bunch of cameras there. Oh, and when they said children's home, it made me think of, what was the name of it? Little Angel's Haven from back in Turbo, the children's home that Justin was staying at for a while. Is that the place they were referencing? Because if so, great continuity. Let's see. Oh, so while Mr. Collins is continuing his interview with the reporters, Wes tells him that he's going to make his own choices from now on, and he leaves. And his father is still frustrated at the loss of the money now. But when Wes looks back, we see Mr. Collins smiling because he's so happy that Wes has finally learned to take initiative, make his own choices, make his own way, and that's such a cool thing, and it gives such depth to Mr. Collins, who, up until this point, seemed like just a total Scrooge, who only cares about money. He's a jerk. He wouldn't give the kid at the beginning back his ball. He's really petty. But then at the end, we see this, and it shows that, like, maybe there's more to him than, like, just being, like, a miser, that he doesn't actually just care about money, that he really does think he's doing the right thing. At the beginning of the episode, when he keeps the ball from the kid, he says he's just learned a valuable lesson. Like, he's not just being a jerk and talking out his butt. He really thinks that this is good for that kid to learn that some people are gonna be a-holes to you, I guess. So anyway, Wes goes to the clock tower, drops his duffel bag, even though he went out the front door of his house. Did he go back in after the reporters left? That must have been an awkward thing with his father, being like, oh, forgot to get my stuff. Oh, there was a while ago he climbed down out of his window, I think, so I'm guessing probably he can climb back up through his window to his room, so that's where the duffel bag came from. So anyway, he asks to stay at the clock tower. The Rangers are like, sure, man, you can stay here. You're one of us. You're a Power Ranger. And he's like, yeah, and happy ending all around. Really good episode. Really love this one. Awesome. Don't know what else to say about it, so I'll end it here. Hope you enjoyed this. See ya.